Hi friends, Jenny here, also known as New Uke New York on some parts of the internet. I am here to do another public one-take tutorial. So I try to do these once per month, and this one is based on a request from a comment here on YouTube that I got for one of my videos that was a cover of a gospel song, an old one. The song is His Eye is on the Sparrow. Someone said they were watching and trying to catch the chords that I was playing, but they weren't able to get them all. I finally got around to making a tutorial for this by request. This is the 1905 song His Eye is on the Sparrow. So I'm going to go through in a live stream format as I do for these tutorial videos, just as if I'm teaching you in person, if we were having a class or a lesson, and I'm going to share with you how I played this one, but it's not how you need to play this one. And if all you want to do is grab the chords, which are linked in the description box, and play it your own way, of course I encourage you to do that. These are not the easiest key to play in. You could play this in a simpler key. This was the key that I chose in part for my voice and in part for my playing, and it does have some slightly more advanced beginner chords in it. Also, if you're interested in transposing, there are ways that you can do that easily online, and also I have a whole video series in this one-take tutorial series, sort of a sub-series on transposing, so you could also transpose it for yourself, which including, if you want it to be higher, you could use a capo, you could, also run it through a program like Logue.net, which allows you to change the chords, anything like that. So I will be teaching this based on the cover that I did, which was quite a few years ago. I had to re-watch my video to refresh my memory on how I played it. I might make different choices if I were going to play it today, and so that's part of the reason I encourage people to strum intuitively. I have a video on that as well, and I hope you'll just feel very free to interpret this freely in a way that makes sense to you. Some people like this song a little more upbeat. Sometimes it makes me cry, so you may find yourself feeling all kinds of emotions in this one. It may affect how you play it, which is lovely. Connecting with emotion to the songs that we play is part of what makes sharing music so beautiful. So without further ado, let's get started with this. With one further ado, let's get started with this tutorial. I do have to thank my patrons, because the handful of people who are supporting me over on Patreon are why I get to make videos like this. Ukulele does not pay the bills for me. I'd love for it to, but it does not. So I am so happy to have some patrons who support me each month. And if you'd like to join us for 1 month or more, I always make sure to have some special perks just for the patrons every month. So join us over there, and it'd be fun to see you. But if not, that's great too. I'm happy to do public material as well. So leave me a comment and let me know what other songs you'd like me to teach next. I'm going to share this on the screen. I won't always share the chords on the screen, so if you haven't grabbed a copy of the chord chart for yourself, you might want to. And so I'm going to share sometimes, but sometimes you might want to see my hands a little closer up. So I may go back and forth from the larger view of me to the larger view of the chords. Let's look at this arrangement though together. It is in the key of F, which, as I said, is not the simplest key. It does have a B flat in it. I often like the key of F for my voice, but not always. And this probably could work just as well in G, but when I did this original video, if you want to play along to my original cover, it was in this key of F. So what I want to do for, oh, that's interesting. A whole new edit toolbar just popped up on my Zoom screen. I'll have to play around with that later. When I'm playing this one in F, let's just run through the chords of what you would be playing. And then, of course, if you end up transposing it, you'll be playing different chords. Let me see here if I can, there we go, scroll a little bit. You're playing a standard beginner F shape with 2 fingers. Then you've got that B flat. Now I will show you, if you have trouble with the B flat, a couple of tips. I do have a whole video on bar chords though as well, so I won't go into it at length, but if you play it with the half bar on your first fret, try it with a full bar if that's not working for you. And if you're trying it with the full bar and it's not working for you, try it with the half bar. I'm just barring the A and the E strings there. And you might need to angle your finger a little bit, either with the half or the full bar. Make sure you're not overextending or cramping up your wrist. Make it comfortable for you. But that's how I play the B flat, is with a half bar. And when I do a full bar, I always make sure that my fingertip goes past that fretboard edge a little bit, because I get better leverage that way and I get a firmer I get firmer pressure on all four strings. If I only scoot it right up to the edge, I don't always catch that G string strongly enough. So I kind of cheat off the end of my fretboard a little bit if I can. All right, so we've got the F, we've got the B flat, we've got a barred D7. You can get away with a Hawaiian D7, 2020, but I love the high note. In most of the songs that we play a D7, I will play a barred D7, but you could play the non-barred version if you like. Then we've got a G minor, which beginners may not know, but it's a beautiful chord. I love it. That has your index finger on the first fret of your A string, your middle finger, this is how people usually play it, your middle finger on the second fret of the C string and your ring finger on the third fret of the E string. So that's the G minor, your G string stays open for that. A one finger C7, it's nice and easy to play, and then an F7. And I want to show you how to move from the F to the F7 because you will be doing that a fair amount in this song. So when you're playing your two finger F here, and I'm kind of squeezing my fingers apart so you can see it a little better, that's not how I play it. But if you're playing your two finger F, you need to add a finger or two to make this an F7. Now you could get away with just adding your ring finger on the third fret of the C string and make an F7 sound. That is an alternate F7. I like to do the four finger F7 because it's a movable shape and it has that nice high note. So I also put my pinky on the third fret of the A string. I like this movable fret, or movable chord shape, and I just did a lesson for my patrons on movable chord shapes last night, because if you hit a song with F sharp 7, you already know the shape. It's just easy to move from fret to fret. But that, whether you play the three finger F7 or the four finger F7, doesn't really matter for the song. You can try and see what you like better, both in terms of how easy it is to play for you and also what you like the sound of better. I just love that high note. I am also today playing this on my low G, which is what I did when I made the cover, a low G ukulele tuning. But I think this would sound just as nice on high G. So you could certainly play these same chords I'm giving you on the high G. All right, now let's look. I'm going to keep the chords off the screen for you for now. So grab that copy if you don't have it already, and I'm going to show you how the chords move through the song. Because we basically have a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus progression to the song, which is very common in hymns and in gospel songs. It's a very classic sort of style, no bridges or anything like that like we get in pop songs. So you'll get two repeating sections, and once you know each one of those sections, you know the whole song. So it starts out with the verse, and you've got an F chord, that single F, simple, not single, simple F. And then from the F, you're going to go to a B flat. And when I'm going from F to B flat, which you do a lot in songs in the key of F, I like to kind of turn my hand and lay my finger down into my half bar because I use the half bar, move my middle finger up to my C string and put my ring finger down to get that kind of diagonal B flat shape. So you might need to practice that switch if it's hard for you. I had a lot of trouble with F to B flat when I was first playing the ukulele, so don't worry if you do too. Just takes practice. Most skills just take practice. If this is a song you love, it could be worth learning B flat for. I learned B flat for a song. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt. F to B flat, back to F. So it'd be great exercise just to go back and forth between those two shapes for this song. That's going to happen a lot. F, B flat, F. Now when we come back to it in the verse, F, B flat, F, we're then going to next go to a D7. For me, I find it easiest to play that high note on my barred D7 with either my ring finger or my pinky. So I'm probably going to plunk my pinky down and leave it there while I put my bar down into place on the second fret. You could also put down your ring finger and play that bar across the D. Or if you're going to go into the two finger D7, you're going to kind of need to flip-flop your fingers so that you are back on the second fret with both your index and your middle for that Hawaiian D7 if you're going to play that. Now let's say you're playing the borrowed D7 because I recommend it and you want it to be like my original. Then you're going to go to a G minor. Well, no matter what kind of D7 you're playing, you're going to go to a G minor next. And I often lead, as I've said before in these tutorials, with my index finger because I've got the most dexterity with my index finger. On my fingers and most people's hands, that happens to be true. I'm going to take my index finger, I'm going to plonk it down in the first fret of the A string because that's kind of my pivot finger for G minor. And then I'm going to swing my other two fingers into place, middle and ring, and get my G minor there. So that's another one you may have to practice. If that's a hard switch for you, think about the shape that G minor is and kind of go back and forth. When I'm looking in the mirror of the screen, it doesn't work so well. Oops. There we go. So you can go back and forth with that, but what you're actually going to do in the song is go from D7 to G minor to C7, and that's a nice switch because you have your C7 finger already in place when you're playing the G minor. So all you have to do is lift your middle and ring, and then you have the C7. C7 is part of G minor in the sense of where your fingers are. And then you go back to F, our sort of home base for this song. I would move my index first, but you can do it however works for you. Reach my middle down to the G string, and I'm back on F. So that is the verse pattern. I guess it's kind of like an extension, sorry. There's kind of an extension into the refrain. We go into the next sort of melody. I guess there are kind of 3 sections to this, not 2, sorry. So now we're going into in the first verse, it's when Jesus is my portion is the lyric. You're going to go from the F to the F7. So I mentioned you're going to have a lot of times in this song where you're going to add those 1 or 2 fingers for the F7. So you're either going F and putting down 1 finger. I like the high note so much. I would do 4. I would do a 4-finger F7. And then into the B flat, which is similar to going from the F into B flat. You're just going from a 4-finger F7 into B flat. Kind of think about turning your fingers as you do that if that helps you. Okay, oh sorry, F7 to B flat. Now to a G minor again. We've already played it once, but this is coming at it from another chord. However, you've still got your index almost right where you need it. So you just need to shift everything a little bit to get from that B flat to the G minor. Then, like we did in the first section of the verse, we go to C7 and back to F. So that's a familiar movement. And then we actually repeat that whole thing again. So we're going to do the same thing we just did at the start of this section with his eye is on the Sparrow, G minor, back to F, C7, F. And that sort of completes the whole verse, although I've separated it out into two stanzas. I'm looking at the word sparrow on the screen as I talk. So you just did part of the refrain as well. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Kind of get a little bit of it's like an ombre, the verse into the refrain, and then you get an even more dramatic, I sing because I'm happy. For that, we're going to go from that F home bass we landed on to the C7 again. So in effect, you've just come from, and I know he watches me, you're going to do no, F, C7 watches, back to F, back to C7, back to F, back to C7. You're going to do that a bunch of times in a row, back to F, add the F7, and then you have the same ending refrain that you just did in the last section. So we've done that change already. B flat, F, B flat, F, C7, F. So there's a lot of F to C7, there's a lot of F to B flat, and there's a lot of F to F7. Those are kind of the things that keep repeating over and over again. Let's look back at the chord chart again. So this is kind of just to illustrate it in case you were just listening to me and not looking at it on your screen. The verse kind of goes from this section. I'm not sure exactly why I split it up the way I did, but this is just how I split it for myself. Your verse kind of goes through there, and then you get into a refrain. His eye is on the sparrow. That repeats twice. Then you get the I sing because I'm happy, and back to his eyes on the sparrow. So that part is kind of like the chorus, those lines, and these 6 are more like the verse because the lyrics change in each case. Although that's not always true with a verse, but the lyrics do change in this one each time. So most of the time we're going to go from a verse section to a refrain section, Then here we go again, verse section to refrain section. One more, the third verse section to refrain section, and then I repeat the last line. You don't have to do that, or you could even repeat the last 2 lines. It all depends on how you want to arrange it for yourself. But really the last thing to talk about with this song is the strumming. And when I listened to it, I thought, oh, that's interesting. You can tell I was a younger, in terms of experience, ukulele player when I played that a number of years ago. Because I picked a very simple strum and I really didn't vary it very much through the song. But I did do a little bit of playing with it. I did a little bit of variation. I have learned for myself that strumming intuitively is more interesting to me as a player, not necessarily listening to other people. But when I am playing, I don't like to just pick one strum pattern anymore and just play that all the way through a song. I like to do some variation, unless I want to keep things really simple for dramatic effect, which I do sometimes do. I often will try different strums on the verse versus the chorus, or I'll throw in some picking, or I'll do single strums at the beginning or the end. You know, there's lots of ways you can vary it. And if you take more classes and tutorials with me or look at more songs that I've arranged, you'll see similar themes. That's just my style. That's the way that comes up again and again. But what I did in this song, and I kind of wrote in a bunch of things you could do up here at the top, was I based my strum around a down, down, up. Because sometimes that's all you have time to do in this song. But sometimes you have more. So you are going to have times when, and I didn't really differentiate on this chord sheet, when you have 4 beats and when you have 2 beats and when you might have more beats before you change chords. I just figured that I would only write the chords in where we change chords. So if I'm singing Why Should I Feel Discouraged, I'm going to play that down, down, up until I get to Why Should the Shadows and then come. But that is a faster change than Why Should I Feel Discouraged. So you're going to have to feel your way through this one a little bit. And you can do that by just doing the down, down, up over and over again. And that would sound like this on that first verse. If you want to play along with me, I'll start with the Y chord. I won't do the little intro F there. I'll just start with that Y. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why should I feel discouraged? That was 4 of them. Why should the shadows come? That was 2 on the B flat and the F. Why should my heart be lonely? 2 on each of those. And long for heaven and home. 2 on each of those. When Jesus is my portion, I think that was 4. My constant friend is he. 2. Oh, that's 1. He, 1, G minor. His eye is on the sparrow. Those both got 2. And I know he watches me. 2 again. His eyes on the sparrow. That just gets 1, and then I do a single strum there. That's what this little slash means in my arrangements. And I know he watches me. So know and watches got the F and the C7 there, each got 1, and then me gets 2 again. So it is going to be one where if you're slowing it down, if you're speeding it up, if you're singing it a little bit differently than I sing it, maybe you're emulating one of the many amazing singers who have recorded this song, you may find that your chord falls a little differently than mine, and you should absolutely feel free to personally interpret it. This is just how I interpreted it when I played it several years ago, and as I said, I might make different choices today. So one thing I did hear myself doing that you can do to vary this is sometimes instead of doing a down, down, up, I plucked my G string and then did a down, up. Pluck, down, up. I'm doing it on the F chord. Pluck, down, up, pluck, down, up. So you can do that the whole way through the song. You can vary it with the other one. You could pluck on the C string. You go back and forth. G, one of the ones where you have 2 or 4. Go to G, down, up, C, down, up. Any of those options will sound just fine. If you're holding the right chord, you can even accidentally hit the E and it would still sound fine because you'd be harmonious with the chord that you're playing. So you can play around with plucking. That was a tongue twister. And if you have a little more time, like Why Should I Feel Discouraged, I noticed I had 4 of those down, down, ups, you could throw in some island strum. If you really love island strum, you could do, and that's the one that goes down, down, up, up, down, up. You won't be able to do it through the whole song because some of those measures or chord changes rather, are too short, but you could do island strum. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? So far working nicely. Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? That all works really nicely with island. When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is he. Here's where you have to change it. If you want to play both the B flat and the G minor, which I do kind of to transition the chord, to move that line, you only have 2 beats for each. So you'll need to go from he to do G minor with a down, down, up. That's probably the simplest way to do that if you're playing island through the rest of the song. Or actually, the simplest would be a single strum. You could do my constant friend is he, and just do a single strum on each of those. That would also be lovely. And I've thrown some single strums in here where I heard myself doing them in the original recording that I made, but they're optional too. You could strum through them. You don't have to do single strums for any or all of those. Also, you could throw in some down, up, down, up. It's using the same number of beats to go down, down, up, or down, up, down, up. It's a 1 and 2 and, or 1 and 2 and. So the only difference is whether you're playing on that first and. 1, down, 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 up is the one where you don't play on the and. 1 and 2 and. But if you are playing, that's the same number of beats. So anywhere in there where you feel like it, you could do a down, down, up, down, up, down, up, or you could just do down, up the whole song. Why should I feel discouraged? Again, when it comes to intuitive strumming, I think it's best just to kind of go with what your fingers can do and what your emotions are feeling. So if you wanted to play this whole song on single strums, I think that could be lovely. But it's just going to depend on how you want to interpret it. Again, what I did was mostly down, down, up, and pluck, down, up. I might have thrown a measure of island strum or a down, up in there occasionally, but I wasn't planning it out. I was just doing it as it came up inside me as I was performing. And I did do this a little more upbeat than some people sing it. Not meaning, just meaning the tempo, like a little bit faster than some people might do. You could certainly do it slower. All right, so I think the last thing that I should do before I end this tutorial is to do a couple of playthroughs. And what I normally like to do if I have the time is to do one playthrough with the chords up on the screen and one playthrough with the chords not on the screen so you can see my hands a little bit bigger in case you have questions about how I'm angling a chord or how I'm playing with my strumming or anything like that. And you can always leave me comments in the, or questions rather, in the comments on this video to let me know if there's something I missed talking about or something I wasn't clear on or just something else you wish I talked about, and let me know how this is going for you too. Also, if you post this anywhere, you are welcome to tag me. I'd love to see it. So let's try a run through with the chords on the screen first since they're already up, and then I'll take it off. And I'll put timestamps to everything down in the description box, so if you want to skip ahead and not do the one with chords on the screen because you just want to see my fingers, that's fine. Also, a note, in case you haven't been watching a lot of tutorials or you don't know this already, you can change the speed to YouTube videos using the little gear icon on the screen. So if you click on that gear icon, you should see one of your options is for speed, and you can make me faster or slower. So if you want to do this at a different tempo than me, or if you want to do it at the same tempo but you're not up to that speed yet, you can always slow it down. All right, let's try about this tempo. That'd be like a 1 and a 2 and a here we go and a F2. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is he. heart be troubled. His tender word I hear, and resting on His goodness, I lose my doubts and fears. Though by the path He leadeth, but one step I may see, His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Optional hold there. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Whenever I am tempted, whenever clouds rise, when songs give place to sighing, when hope within me dies, I draw the closer to Him. From care He sets me free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I know He watches me. All right, so I mostly played that as written. You know, you just gotta let the fingers do what they want to do sometimes. Next, let's do one round of run through of this song with the chords not on the screen. So if anybody's trying to look closer up at my strumming hand or my fretting fingers, you can see that. I'll put it off to the side here for myself. And then please let me know, like as I said, what you have as comments after watching this. Here we go. I'm gonna do it a little faster, just for fun. You can slow me down though if you liked that slower speed a little better, but I'm not gonna go super fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home, when Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes When hope within me dies, I draw the closer to him. From care he sets me free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I know he watches me. As I'm singing that, I'm thinking, that's a little low for me today with this voice. And if that was a little low for you, because this has not been a very long tutorial, I will just give you a quick little bonus talking about if you want to make that a tiny bit higher, which might also make some of the chords a little bit easier to play. So let's just look at it real quick as if we were transposing on the fly, and let's just see what each of these chords would turn into if I was going to make them all one step up higher for myself or for you. We're going to go up 2 half steps or 1 whole step on each of these chords. I'll put it to the left here. So the F would become a G. Again, if you don't know how to transpose, I have a whole series on it. B flat, when it goes up 2 steps, actually becomes a C because there is no C flats. You go B flat, B, C. So that's nice and easy for us as ukulele players. Then your D7 going up a whole step becomes an E7. Your G minor going up a whole step is also a nice easy one. You're going to so wish that I'd put this in G instead of F. I really like that low note when I can hit it. And that's why I performed it that way. I wasn't thinking about teaching it at the time that I made that cover. But if you find it either hard to play or too low to sing or both, this C7 becomes a D7, which is kind of nice because we already have the D7 on here. And then your F7 becomes a nice and easy G7. So let's just look at that real quick. If this is too high for you, the place it's going to be too high is on the I sing because I'm free. And if that hits too high, you may choose either to sing a different note there. I sing because I'm free. You could go lower and sing like a harmony note rather than the melody. But let's just look at this last verse here and see how that works. If you can't play along with this, that's okay. I may make some mistakes, but I'm just going to see if I can do this. I'm just going to try to play the second column here so you can get a sample of what it would sound like. We'll see how many mistakes I make with the chords. But this is live recording, as I said. Whenever I am tempted, whenever clouds arise, when songs give place to sighing, when hope within me dies, I draw the closer to him. From care he sets me free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Here's where it's going to get high. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. So, if that's doable in your voice range, and if you have a lower voice than me, like a stereotypically male voice, although I know plenty of people who are not male who sing tenor, you could drop down the octave and you could sing it the same notes I just sang, but lower in your register. There's lots of ways you can do it, but that's just like a little add-on bonus transposing idea. it would be a lot easier to play. I love it in F, but if you don't, or if you just want it to be easier and you don't care if it's a little higher to sing, then absolutely transpose that into G for yourself. All right, so thank you again very much for being here. Thank you so much for watching my videos. The likes and the comments help me engage more people, which helps me be able to, do this more often, which I really like to do. And thank you again so much to my patrons who might be watching this and who definitely make these kinds of videos possible so that I can make some for free for everybody online, not just the special bonus ones that they get over on Patreon. So again, join us over on Patreon if you want, 1 month or more, but even if you never do, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And I hope you'll let me know in the comments how this song is going for you, if you've recorded it yourself, if you have other ways you like to play it, and also any questions that you might have. I would be happy to try to help you with them if I can. Take care. I'll see you on the internet again soon. And if you're watching this at the end of November, and you're kind of the person who just celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope you had a happy one. Thanks, folks. Bye.